minutes, I'm going to tell you how the most terrifying moment of my life, where I found myself in tears, screaming at my own wife, and waving a 9-inch butcher's knife in her face, led me to discover the most incredible hair regrowth breakthrough of the 21st century that allowed me to go from this to this in less than 6 weeks. Based on sensational new research carried out at the University of Pennsylvania and Johns Hopkins University, this 100% natural method goes against every theory on hair loss ever written, and effortlessly brought every single hair on my head back from the dead. This method doesn't involve any surgery, gels, or pills. It's so dirt cheap it might as well be free, and is so easy to do you can put it into action yourself from your own home starting today. Within as little as 14 days, you'll experience the rush of feeling new thick hairs miraculously sprouting all over your head, leaving your friends and family speechless and every bald person you know desperate to know your secret. You'll soon discover how everything both you and your doctor thought you knew about hair loss is dead wrong. How the reason for your increasingly noticeable bald spot has absolutely nothing to do with the aging process or genetics, but is instead all down to a little-known and poorly understood enzyme that is right this second instructing your hair follicles to stop producing new hair. And by simply turning this enzyme off, you can allow all your currently dormant follicles, which you have never lost, to start producing new, healthy hair again, just as they've done in the past. In this short info-packed presentation, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to naturally turn these hair-killing enzymes off, so you can begin to permanently and safely regrow your hair starting today. No matter if you suffer from alopecia or male pattern baldness, whether you're male or female, age 18 or 80, no matter how severe your baldness is or what age it began, whether you've tried every single baldness treatment or remedy under the sun, or even if your doctor has told you it's medically impossible to regrow your hair. Because the truth is, it's not impossible. In fact, this secret has already been used by nearly 63,000 men and women to regrow thick, full, and healthy hair in as little as a few weeks. Let's take a look at just a few. Edward, age 44, began using this natural baldness reversing secret just 6 weeks ago, and now has a thick, dense head of hair for his wedding next month. His wife is overjoyed at the transformation and loves to run her hands through her husband's mane. How amazing is that? Peter here contacted me just 8 days ago to help him regrow his hair that started falling out 27 years ago. He can already see brand new hairs growing all over the top of his head and has never felt more confident and youthful. Sally, a mother of 2 who suffered from bald spots in her hair since she was a teenager, never thought this protocol would work. But after 2 months, her bald spots are nowhere to be seen, and she feels as sexy and attractive as ever. And Michael, a 51-year-old sales rep, who is a Norwood 6 on the scale of male pattern baldness, used this secret to completely reverse his baldness within 4 weeks. His colleagues still cannot believe he did it without surgery, and his sales commissions have doubled with his new look. Can you imagine just days from now the thrill and excitement of feeling hair sprouting all over your once hairless bald spot? Imagine no longer feeling powerless at the sight of hairs all over your pillow, or watching them fall out in the shower every morning and get sucked down the drain along with your youth, or looking in the mirror every day feeling miserable, depressed, and wondering where it all went. Imagine ditching all the embarrassment and the stigma that being a bald man brings, the hits to your self-esteem, the lack of confidence, having to hide it with baseball caps or hats, and feeling less of a man than those with hair. Instead, you'll be able to take control of your hairline permanently. Yes, you may be feeling skeptical, thinking this all sounds a little too good to be true. I felt the same way not that long ago. But stay with me for just a moment more, because I will not only explain the indisputable medical science behind how results like this are possible, I will also explain the exact steps you can take today to achieve the same miraculous results yourself. But before I reveal any more, I must warn you that Big Pharma and the multi-billion-dollar hair loss treatment industry are angry, I'd say even furious with me for speaking to you today. They're not happy that this discovery was made by me, your regular American dad, with no biochemistry background whatsoever, and not them and their multi-billion-dollar laboratories. It infuriates them even more that this method is so quick, simple, and inexpensive, and was right under their noses the whole time. And so they are doing everything in their power to prevent me from sharing this information with you today. So I urge you to watch this video until the very end and discover this secret while you still can, because there's no guarantee this video will still be up tomorrow or even a few hours from now. As I said, my name is David McKenna. I'm 48 years old and the manager of a small family-run legal firm, and I live in East Providence, Rhode Island with my wife, Sarah. You're probably wondering how an admittedly average guy like myself came to stumble upon the biggest hair regrowth breakthrough of the century. Well, sharing my story with you today isn't easy for me to do, because what I'm about to reveal was one of the most embarrassing and soul-destroying moments of my entire life. It all started about 12 years ago when I noticed my hair was starting to thin, especially near my temple and forehead. Soon enough, I'd wake up in the morning and find dozens more hairs on my pillow, and I'd start every day depressed and self-conscious about my appearance as my hair slowly receded. Every time I even touched my head, hairs would be all over my hand. My wife Sarah had always commented on how much she loved my long, thick hair, but as the years went by, I developed a prominent receding hairline and bald spot on the top of my head, which made me look 20 years older. As the years went by, my confidence took a real beating, and I could tell that Sarah was finding me less and less attractive. We used to have sex regularly, but losing my hair had the same effect as being chemically castrated. Sarah always had an excuse. "I've got a headache," she'd say. "I've got to get up early for work in the morning. I'm too tired," was her favorite. Yet, we never talked about it, but my receding hairline was destroying our sex life and our marriage. Losing your hair is about the worst thing that can happen to anyone. And when you experience your own wife's lack of desire for you, it makes you feel like a shadow of the man you once were. For a select few like Bruce Willis or Jason Statham, the bald look is great. But I had sadly inherited my dad's flat and strange-looking back of the head that it looked like I was from outer space. And like anyone losing their hair and suffering from these kinds of confidence and self-esteem issues, I was desperate to find a solution. First, I tried Rogaine and used it for 6 months, twice a day as directed. But although this seemed to slightly slow down the loss of my existing hair, it did absolutely nothing to grow it back. And at around $50 a month, I'd be paying $600 a year for barely any noticeable results. That wasn't the solution. Next, I tried finasteride medication in the form of Propecia tablets. It didn't do anything more than create a few pathetic little fluffs of hair. What's more, the finasteride drug, which is infamous for its side effects, didn't disappoint on that front either. I suffered from bizarre swelling in my hands and feet, dizziness, headaches, a weird rash on my legs and arms, and difficulty urinating. I completely lost the urge to have sex and couldn't keep an erection, which I guess wasn't the end of the world as my wife wasn't interested anyway. And if I didn't already feel like less of a man, finasteride literally destroyed my sperm count, another huge and very common side effect of the drug. Plus, after researching finasteride a little more, I found that even if you do regrow some hair, all of that new hair falls out again within just a few months if you stop taking the drug. I didn't want to become hooked into a lifetime of medication and creams, restocking every month like an addict. No way. It was time to look into the hair transplant option. But not only was this incredibly expensive at up to $30,000, but I didn't like the idea of someone slicing off several inches of my scalp to harvest hair grafts. It looked barbaric. I read about horror stories of people left with terrible scarring and other cases where the transplanted hair actually goes into shock and falls out and incredibly causes existing hair to do the same. What's worse, even if it does work, what most doctors won't tell you is that your hair keeps receding behind the transplanted area. So within a few years, you're forced into paying for another procedure and then another for the rest of your life, costing you tens of thousands of dollars each time. And if you choose not to pay for more surgery, you'll wind up with bald patches behind the transplanted area, which will make your head look like a freak show. In short, if I went down this route, I'd become a prisoner to the transplant for the rest of my life, the same way I would have been a prisoner to the medication and creams. Instead, I swore no matter how much my shiny bald head tortured me, I would never submit to the cost and dangers of medications or surgery. I decided to accept my fate, let nature take its course, and face the truth that I'd be bald for the rest of my days, that I'd have to go through life feeling insecure and self-conscious, and that my wife may never find me sexually attractive ever again. And that would be the end of my incredible true story, if it wasn't for a shocking incident that happened just 2 months later, when I found myself standing in front of my own wife, crying my eyes out, and waving a 9-inch butcher's knife in my hand, a terrifying moment that bizarrely saved me from a life of baldness. So what happened to make me act like such a lunatic? Well, it's an embarrassing story, but it's important that I tell it to you, so you can understand what my hair loss did to my state of mind and my marriage. It all started when we were sitting in the kitchen one night eating dinner when Sarah went upstairs to the powder room. I noticed her phone just sitting there on the table. A message pinged, and all I could see was the contact Jack on the summary of the phone. I sat for a minute, tapping my fingers until